Hey there, welcome to Synth Seeker. My name is Luke. So as we're getting ready to move here, and I have all of my stuff locked away and packed away, and basically just have a laptop on my disposal, I just got the itch to make a little spacey Berlin School loop. It's not quite generative, but with an element of randomness that I could sort of have a good time with this. Let it sort of play in the background, drop it down so it matches the ambience of the room, and just sort of, you know, I don't know, trip out with the lights down. And after I built it, I had a good time and was like, this is good. I feel like I produced something that I find entertaining, that, you know, moves me from an artistic perspective. I thought, hey, it was so easy to build, let's just disassemble it and slap up a quick video just to show how, you know, trivially easy it can be to do this, and not to make it, not to belittle, you know, low effort projects like this, but just to say, hey, the bar for entry is really low. You can do this and make it sound awesome. Even if you know, maybe don't have the confidence or a lot of experience, you're like, I really like this sound, but how do I make this? Well, here's one way to do it. Let's deconstruct this and we'll take a peek. Alright, so what do we have here? Let's look at each of these by themselves here. So we start with a little bassline. Okay, this is just, I'm working in Ableton. These are Ableton stock plugins. You can look at the other videos. This is just a sort of a Berlin School bass pluck sound. Okay, so this is a okay, nothing fancy. Check the video in the corner for Berlin School plucks. Okay, but I've basically got this sawtooth running now. What I've done is made a very simple clip that basically is just running octaves, okay? So if we start this playing, that's all it's going to do. It's just going to drone throughout this whole piece. Now if we look at the instrumentation, the way we've built this is we've taken an analog synth, it's doing sawtooth waves, okay, slightly detuned. The filter frequency and the resonance, if we look at the LFO is running really, really slow, okay? And the LFO is tweaking the filter a bit here, and the resonance as well. So you'll hear it rising and falling. Okay. That's it. This is just a drone. Now, as far as the key we're working in, all of these clips are set to be C Phrygian. Phrygian is a mode that is has a minor feel. I think it just sounds spacey to me. Okay, and you'll see we're going to fit and force everything using the Ableton MIDI scale plugins into C Phrygian. Okay, but that's our bassline running. Okay. Now the next piece, the next clip, is again a simple analog instrument. Okay, this one's going to play square waves, okay, hollow sounding square waves. And actually the oscillator 1 is a square wave and oscillator 2 is a square wave, but an octave up, so they're an octave apart. Okay, if we listen to this, what we're going to hear, all right, again, this is C Phrygian, And I have arbitrarily chosen some notes from the C Phrygian scale. Okay, I put this in C Phrygian, put it in scale mode. That means every note in my grid is within the scale. I can pick whatever I want. And I picked these notes, 8 bars. Now, this clip is 8 bars plus 1 beat. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's not 8 bars, it's 8 bars plus 1. And we'll get into why we do that in a minute. But that's just running. Now, instrumentation-wise, I've got these little square waves playing, and they're running into tape delay, analog tape delay. Okay, the left side's doing 16th note delays, the right side's doing 8th note delays, and they're offset just a little bit. A lot of feedback, about 50-50 wet dry, ping pong, and then that's running into a big shimmer reverb. Okay, and then the output of that delay reverb combination is actually also running through an ensemble chorus. Okay, so I'm actually chorusing that shimmer tail as well, and all the delays as well. It's okay. You know, sometimes people say, "Oh, you always put the reverb last." You don't have to, right? Especially if you're going to be doing Berlin School or space music, and you've got these long shimmering reverb tails. Maybe you want to do something with those. You want to modulate them with some more effects. Put some effects after. Check it out. See if you like how it sounds. All right. But that's what's playing there, that clip. All right. Now, all I did then was duplicate this track. Literally, the pink track is just a pure duplicate of the green track. The only difference is I moved the start point from 1 over to 4.5. And then I made the entire pattern length exactly 8. Whereas the green one is 8 plus a beat. The pink one is 8. And it has a different start point. And the reason that we do that is when you play these two clips on top of each other, everything else is the same. The pink track, it's the same instrument. I just duped it. Same tape echo. Actually, I think the tape echo algorithm's slightly different timing-wise, but it's just a tweak. And but again, shimmer, and then into a phaser and a chorus instead of just a chorus. And this sounds like this. So you can hear that phaser. All right, and then these two clips are basically laying on top of each other. All right. And that gives us that sort of phasing. Again, there's a video I did previously about MIDI note phasing, as in having two patterns that are almost identical laying on top of each other with different lengths or different start points. And you get the notes. You could start with very simple patterns. Each of these patterns only has 7 notes in it. And they're the same 7 notes, but because in time they're phasing, I think the video is called Berlin School Time Lords, you get this really interesting variation that extends for a long time. It's not, it gives your ear the illusion of repetition without being repetitive and boring. Right? So if I combine that with our bass, there's our bass playing under there. All right. Now, the last piece of the puzzle is this. This clip has 1 note in it. It's just a C, okay? And we're in C Phrygian. So what's happening here? Well, when this track plays, we're actually getting a chord. It plays for 4 bars, and then rests and fades out for 3 bars, and then starts again. But even though the MIDI note's the same, we're getting a different chord. But it's still all within C Phrygian, so how are we doing that? Well, let's look at the clips. Let's look at the MIDI effects that are in this track. All right, so what we're doing here is every time this note starts, it runs into this randomization plugin, and 80% of the time it's going to change that C to some other note than C. Basically, within within the 12 semitones of the octave, it's randomly picking one of those, some number from 1 to 12 basically, and adding it to that note and shifting it. Then that's moving through a Phrygian mode scale plugin that constrains it to the Phrygian mode, C Phrygian. So if we get something that's really dissonant and outside of C Phrygian, it'll sort of align it in there. And then we're running that into a little chord plugin. And this chord plugin's taking that one note, duplicating it and adding 4 semitones to it, then 7 semitones, and then 12 semitones. So basically we're playing, if we were just playing a C, it would be kind of like a sus4 chord. Right, it would be like C, F. If we were in the key of C, it would be C, F, G, and then a high C above that again. So we're taking that C note, adding a random number to it, forcing it into the Phrygian mode, breaking it out into a chord, forcing that to the Phrygian mode, and then feeding that into our synth. And then whatever effects we want. Chorus, shimmer, some panning. And that's what you're hearing now. Every time this note plays, we get a new chord. And it's always within C Phrygian, so it should work with everything the other clips are playing. So if we bring it all back in, and that's where we get our ambient Berlin School space music with the least amount of effort. So what I'll do is I'll just sort of let this play. I'll turn the volume down so it's just barely above the background noise of my home. Turn all the lights out. Get a snack, maybe a beverage, and just meditate. You know, just float in space. And you can do this too. So here's a quick walkthrough, a little deconstruction of how to build a Berlin School ambient sort of semi-generative loop. And, you know, have fun with it. So thanks for tagging along. Again, I'll be in the new studio, building the new studio out in about a week. But until that happens, I'm constrained here in this cave with no tools, so here's what we could do with the minimum set of tools. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and as always, you have been watching and listening to Synth Seeker. Have a great week.